from TV5 Wrestling Action, 11 o'clock Saturday.
You'll see America's favorite sport on WHBQ television.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.
The bad news is this is going to be the last Talking Memphis Wrestling show we've ever done. Will do. This is the last one. The other announcement, a happier announcement, is I won the lottery! Big bucks! And I'm going to reopen Power Pro Wrestling in the USWA. Yay! And if you don't already know, I will tell you right now, April Fools. It's Randy Hill's April Fool's Day. First take, Chris Ellis, come on in.
Yeah, I'm glad I remembered it was April Fool's when you started talking because you didn't prep me with the open there. And I was like, last one ever. What? I come back and we're going off. Oh my God, I've killed the show, but I feel much better now. Much better. But I'm excited about today's show, and I got a totally different view than most people. When you're young, you don't value like videotape and pictures and all that. And I got the notes for today's show. Hey Calvin, hey William, hey PJ, hey Randy West. But I got to thinking, I knew you announced my Legion baseball games. And then for those that don't know, I'm big into racing. I was at a race at Talladega where a fence was knocked down in a NASCAR race. And who put the fence up but Pat Trammell. And today we're going to talk about stuff that MSJ did from when I was a kid. And all of us ended up being friends all these years later. It's crazy. And who would have ever thought to put all that together? And all those steps in my life have all converged here on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Life is something, it really is. What's going to be something around here? I know you're concerned about Jonesboro. You're concerned about this area, but you're not that far away within an hour where I am. So I have a feeling, Randy West and William Robinson and everybody watching this Talking Memphis Wrestling, we once again have some bad weather coming in. Starting tomorrow about 4 o'clock, I believe we're at level 5. Do you know?
Yeah, we're 5. We're gone to 5, yeah.
And how many days in a row are we going to get this crap?
4 days in a row. Going to get anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of rain.
Now, the Bay schools in Northeast Arkansas and several of the schools have already announced that they're going to be dismissing tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I think the last radar I saw was supposed to hit about 4. I would guess that most schools, and obviously this is your first time working, and I'm sure you don't want to release any information on your end right now, but it's a decision-making process. You'll have to have 2, but we don't want any of our kids or any of our bus drivers or any of our teachers out and doing parking lot duty. We want everybody to be safe for sure. If you people don't know, We're broadcasting right now. I'm in Northeast Arkansas. I'm in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where the Randy Hill story began. Jonesboro, Arkansas, famous for a lot of things, more famous in a bad way than anything. This is right up Tornado Alley. Chris, I remember the 68 tornado. I remember the 73 tornado. I remember the 2020 tornado. I remember me and Brandon Baxter took off on an afternoon headed to West Helena. That son of a bitch tornado followed us all the way to the casino, Lady Luck Casino at the time, that sucker, and at the time, and it's ironic and it's funny, we had just the other night bad weather. I turned on the radio and there was Brandon Baxter, all professional, all calm. 20 years ago, different story, man. I had to babysit his ass. I had to calm him down, and we were flat out. We were listening to the radio, changing. After we got out of the Jonesboro, we got into Harrisburg, and every little town had radio stations, so you can just pick them up. Then when you pick them up, and blah blah blah. He was scared out of his mind, and now he's our version on radio, at least our version of Dave Brown. Life, as you say, what we're going to talk about today, life is just funny. Life is just funny.
It is. Well, you mentioned the weather. We put out a statement today, so my parents are aware that we'll make a decision on release time and so forth tomorrow, but it's too early to tell about how fast it's traveling. Now, anybody who's not from the northeastern part of the state or the Delta region, the flatlands of Arkansas, so to speak, you grow up with it. As I grew up in Jonesboro, for those that don't know, like RH did. So we're used to it. It doesn't traumatize me or excite me. I just am responsible for a whole lot of people. So that's how it impacts me. It's not my personal well-being. I'm not scared, but I got 2,300 people that I have to take care of. So it is something that we're watching very closely.
Hello, James, my good friend, Crazy Gill in the house. James in the house. As James says, somebody save me. I don't know how to swim. I think you're going to knowing how to swim won't save you from a bridge falling or a house falling on top of you. Just pray to the good Lord and hope for the best. And I don't know if I told you this, Dr. Chris. I think I did tell you I had a trip to Uber trip to Batesville last week. Did I tell you that?
Mm-hmm.
And on the way there, I saw coming from Jonesboro, I saw quite a bit of damage that y'all had from that last storm.
Oh yeah, between here and Newport, there's a big farm, not a big farming community, but a good-sized farm operation. Had 3 brick homes, been there since the 70s or 80s, and they were just leveled to the ground. I mean, it was a EF4, very devastating tornado. It's amazing, but you go through the S curves headed to Newport as you did the other day, and everything looks fine. The equipment's all in the shed and no problem. You top the hill and go over, and it looks like a nuclear bomb is going off. And thankfully all those folks were safe. I don't know where they went because they obviously didn't stay in those homes because there was nothing left but the foundation when they got done. So it's been everybody's on heightened alert right now here, and very concerned, and rightfully so.
Now, a lot of people from other places, I know William Robinson was a Memphis guy in New Orleans now, and people from Panetta, PJ, is from Thailand. I don't know how many tornadoes they have there, but folks, this is a serious situation we deal with. We'll bring Michael on in just a second because he has arrived. Chris, I started with the April Fool's joke to start off this show, and then I went right into the weather forecast. Do you have an opening first take?
No, not really. I mentioned my story about all the things coming and connected in my life. My relationship with you. I was at a race I didn't even know Pat, and Pat was there repairing the fence at the race I'm at. in Talladega, Alabama in like 1988. And then, of course, Michael, and it's really cool what we're doing today because as a young fan, I saw Michael do these videos. I saw Terry Boulder wrestle before Hulk Hogan, and I got to see him in person and so forth. To see all that evolve and come together is pretty fascinating. As I was preparing for the show, I feel like I've been blessed to get to be involved with it.
PJ says, I don't have tornadoes. I had an earthquake last week. I think, I don't let my guard down, but it's like another day at the office when you have tornado sirens go off. You just know what to do. You just do. Earthquake, I wouldn't have a clue what to do. And just like a hurricane, I wouldn't have a clue what to do. And we want to bring into the show because we're going to talk WrestleMania. We're going to review a little bit of Monday Night Raw last night. I've sent my guys a couple of videos that we cannot, because of copyright reasons, to show them to you guys. Hopefully you've watched them, but we can certainly talk about them. He is in Alabama. He's always in Alabama, but it hadn't always been that way. He is here now, and it is 11 minutes after showtime, but he's been ready to rock and roll for the last 3 or 4 minutes. And speaking of rock and roll, a great rock and roll DJ, a great lover of rock and roll, a great lover of professional wrestling, and a great lover of his grandson Joshua. Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame broadcaster and 2024 Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame inductee, we bring in to the show on Talking Memphis Wrestling today, Michael freaking St. John.
You know, when I read the rundown of the show, when you sent it to me on Saturday, I wondered, and I had to ask my wife, I said, did I die? Because the show is like, you got all my videos in this, and I'm saying, well, maybe Randy knows something I don't know, and maybe by Monday night at 7 o'clock it is April Fool's Day, or Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, April Fool's Day. Maybe I'm gone, but I'm still here. And by the way, Randy, before I go on, I want one of those shirts, or better yet, I'd like a long sleeve. I love that shirt. Where'd you get that? That's your school, right?
Yeah, my school. And hey, do the war cry, Chris. Even though you're not a hurricane, I've done it. Can you do the war cry, or is it too sickening for you?
No, I'll do the first part. You do the second.
Okay.
Open the roof and let it rain.
Give them hell, hurricane. Yay!
There you go. There you go. I wonder if the Miami Hurricanes ever did that cheer.
They might have. Chris's, that was in high school, and I've realized why he didn't want me to do the second part right now. But anyway, his deal is Raider pride is justified. Now, which has the better ring for it? Just like we'll kick their ass in any sport. Oh, I'm not supposed to cuss with them on here. Anyway, which is the most exciting deal? Raider pride is justified, which is pretty cool, but open the roof and let it rain. We used to say give them hell, hurricane. Did you know they changed that to H-A-I-L?
I did. Yeah, got to be politically correct, you know.
My favorite is Roll Tide. I don't know what that. You know what's funny about that is I think the funniest war cry, or the funniest battle cry in college sports, and I had the opportunity to do a game back in the 80s at Austin Peay State University, home of the Governors, right? And at about 2 minutes before kickoff, the whole student section gets up and yells, "Let's go Peay! Let's go Peay!" And I'm like, this is going to be interesting. But that's a true story. That's not an April Fool's. But thanks, Randy. Thanks for having me. And I feel like this is a tribute show. Maybe we ought to just save this one in the archives, and when I do kick the bucket, then you can just play it over again.
We'll do something different, and we'll probably give you a hard time today if you've flown the coop. We'll talk all night. We'll BS our way through it. I want to thank William Robinson, my doctor buddy, Dr. William Rusty Robinson from Memphis, Tennessee. Then he went to New Orleans for 35 years. He has his own podcast. And man, he talks music, he sings music, he picks music, he talks all kinds of stuff, and releases tonight at midnight on YouTube. Search the Blues Doctor podcast, because he is going to talk about the autopsy and different things regarding the death of John F. Kennedy. William, because last week I had no Michael St. John, I had no Chris Ellis, and was told I probably wouldn't have Pat. Pat finally got here about an hour and 20 minutes into the show, but William joined us and filled in for you guys, and I appreciate it. Hey, Richard Hood, what is going on, my friend? Don't forget, everybody, the Good Doctor podcast. We got to check that out. Now, Chris, I will start with this question, because I know, now this is how I just describe you. You, for the most part, ignore and don't follow modern wrestling. Michael, on the other hand, follows it, but likes to knock it and bury it and beat it up to pieces. But I sent you homework of 2 videos. The first one I sent you was last night's confrontation, and I won't give my opinion because I'm sure mine will disagree with Michael's. It always does, but that's what the fun of this show is. What did you think about the Cody Rhodes, John Cena situation as they were in London? The boys have gone global, and that's amazing to me.
Well, I thought it was very good. A little long. I don't like 12-minute or how many long segments. It's too long. I thought Cena. I thought Cena was restrained because he's a little better on the mic, I think, than Cody. And I don't know how much input they have versus the riders, but I think Cena could have really ripped him because he's like Lawler. He's quick with the one-liners and the comebacks, and Cody's more I don't know what you call it, regimented or more like prepared or thinking through his in my opinion. But I thought it was good. Now, I've never been a Cena fan. I'm always for whoever's working with Cena. I just don't care for Cena. I don't like the character, the tennis shoes and blue jeans short. That just don't do it for me. Like he don't look like a wrestler to me. So that's just me. That's just my personal opinion.
Thank you to Adam for researching, and the crossroads was hit because John Cena tried to sucker Cody again, and it backfired right into the crossroads, and the people went banana.
They did.
Michael?
I didn't realize it was in London, but that explains it. I have not, and was any of that music or anything piped in by chance or amplified? Because I have never heard it.
Amplified. I mean, I'm not sure of that. It was organic from the audience.
Okay.
It was organic from the audience.
Well, I know at college football games, it's become commonplace. And Coach, you probably are aware of this as well. Even at high school games, even at our home games here in Arab, they now have the student section mic'd. So it plays on the speakers and it adds, I mean, the cheering is, like you said, it's authentic and it's coming from, but it is amplified. So it sounds bigger. And that may have been the case, but I have never heard a crowd that loud and in that syncopated. I mean, everybody was singing the same thing at the same time. And I thought that was amazing. Randy, I'm not going to disagree with you because I thought this was a great confrontation. One thing I really like that they are doing now that the UCF is involved, or is that the interviews to build up the show, the as I call them interviews, the promos are more shoot promos like in the MMA than they are wrestling promos, in my opinion, in this day. I also like the round microphone, the round microphone flag. I think that's really cool. But I just really thought that these two guys, I mean, it took me a minute to digest the fact that these guys are working to put a show on in about 3 weeks at WrestleMania because so much of what they said was so true to heart. was so true to the wrestling business. Randy, you've heard it. Coach, I know you've heard it too. Cena can't work. I mean, we've heard that from day one. I disagree. I think Cena doesn't look as fluid in the ring as a Jerry Lawler or a Rick Morton or a Bobby Eaton. No, he's not. But I think he can work. And, Cody's second generation, talking about the list. I've got to meet Virgil back in 2000. No, actually, okay, let me see. In 80, I'm trying to figure this out. 82, I met him in Atlanta, and then I didn't see him again until 2002. And he was backstage at an event we did here with Cross Promote with Ronnie West and his crew. And Dusty was the main event, and his son was here, and Bill Watts' kid was here. But anyway, in talking to him, Dusty put on that lisp. I don't know how much Cody Rhodes puts on that lisp, or if it is a speech impediment. But I mean, they were hooking each other verbally left and right, and I actually liked it. But I will agree with you, Coach. I don't think it's like in broadcasting, less is more when it comes to verbalization, and I think that's the case in professional wrestling. So all in all, though, I gave it that's a 4.5 star, almost a 5 star between the two of them.
Now, Adam, if you would go ahead in the design and find the WrestleMania graphic and put that up there. And I can tell you, we're on the road to WrestleMania. It will be Saturday coming up, April the 19th and April 20th. Stay with us, Adam, because I'll call for that several times. Come back to us real quick. Is one thing that I think is so odd, and I'm asking Michael and Chris too, if 15 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, if this would have ever happened. The biggest wrestling event of the year, and maybe of ever, is going to be on Easter weekend. I remember back in the day, first of all, we didn't run Sundays much, and we dadgum sure wouldn't have run a town on a Sunday, on Easter Sunday. And in Jonesboro and Nashville, the two regular Saturday towns, we didn't draw crap on Saturday before Easter. We just doesn't. We just don't. Is it the UFC's involvement in this thing? Is it? I don't know. The answer is, once again, Adam has that up. WrestleMania Vegas coming up. WrestleMania 41. So did you even think about that, Michael and Chris? It's Easter weekend.
I did not. I think part of it is the fact it's in Vegas, and there is no clock in Vegas. There is no calendar in Vegas. So Easter weekend's just another weekend in Vegas. So I don't even think that they gave it they may have given it an afterthought, but I don't think they gave it a thought. Easter, by the way, is late this year. So it doesn't bother me, and I'm sure half the crowd or more, hopefully, will go to church Easter Sunday morning before going to the second day of WrestleMania. But no, I did not give it a lot of thought.
It's funny, and I think I know why. The deal with Cena and the t-shirt, the sneakers, and everything that is shorts and sneakers and all that stuff. And Richard Hood said I agree with Chris. Wrestlers should wear wrestling gear. As far as my booking career, I'm proudest of the fact I got PG-13 over like Rover and drawing money. What was their costume, Chris?
No, that's what it was. And you got them over, and they were good. I didn't like how they dressed in their ring attire, but anyway, that's just me. I'm one person buying a ticket. There's 31 flavors on the card, and like Baskin Robbins, you don't got to like everything that's in it. But you're right. You got them over big time wearing short blue jean shorts and tennis shoes.
The other thing I want to throw at you guys is this made me think. One of the lines last night and said, Cody says to Cena, you'll kill me on different things. You'll kill me on my list. You'll kill me on the fans of the company that I founded, booed me out of the building, blah, 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 blah. Do y'all agree with me? And I can't rate them one or two? I guess I could and probably will. But this is what I think. If you look at AEW and how exciting it was that an alternative product was coming up, I dare anybody to start a new company up with as hot as WWE is right now. When AEW started up, they weren't going against the WWE that's now. That's hot as hell. They weren't. But what would you consider the number one reason of the fall of the decline, not the fall, because they're still fighting? Would you say it's heart and soul with Cody Rhodes, and when he left, there went the heart and soul of the company? Or would you say the bad publicity and the fact of the whole fiasco with CM Punk leaving? Because both guys are now in the WWE. Thoughts?
Well, my opinion is that Punk leaving hurt him more than Cody leaving. That's me. And then Kenny Omega and the other cat they're a big negative to me. But I never was sold on them to start out with. But now I personally believe this. I think TNA went this way, and I think AEW has gone this way. People leave the WWE and they immediately go where? AEW. It's the same. WCW's downfall, and again, Chris Ellis's opinion, started when we brought in Nash, we brought in Hall, and I know NWO was huge. I know. Then Bret Hart, and then everybody that Vince no longer wanted, we're bringing to our team. It'd be like the Cardinals. The Dodgers are hot. They're the world champions, and they're killing everybody. Okay, everybody they want to get rid of, the Cardinals are going to take. That's kind of what that turns into. They become the second string or the AAA roster for the WWE. Other than my guy MJF, who is, I guess, making so much money, he's on top and he don't care. The other part is all the negative. I see somebody saying bad management and Tony Khan. RH, you talked about it on the show, and Michael has too. The way he ran the office and the back in the dressing room, didn't have control. And you said repeatedly, I'd fire their ass. They wouldn't do me that way. And there you go.
It's easy to second guess somebody when you weren't there, and I was not there in that situation, so I don't know. Maybe I'd have fired every one of them. Maybe I wouldn't have fired anybody. I just don't know the situation. I think there's more to this than meets the eye for sure. And my 2 cents worked in Cody. I said it. Cody was a heart and soul, and also from a business perspective, because when he left, even with Punk there, that's when it started going down. I think he had a lot of Dusty in him, a lot of business in him, and plus that right now he's the top babyface in the world without a debate. Sells more merchandise, all the numbers are right, so that situation. So your feedback into this situation.
Well, first of all, I think Dr. Robinson has a great quote on our inside comments here. He says AEW has had bad management from the beginning. It's a play toy for Tony Khan. It's not a true business dedicated to turning a profit. I think he's 100% right. You know, I have not been a fan of AEW's for a lot of reasons. And I think Jimmy Cornette has had the best take on AEW from day one. And I think he still has the best take today. And that is, it is Tony Khan's play toy. Tony Khan was one of the biggest wrestling marks in the history of wrestling marks. I won't say one of the biggest, one of the richest. And God love him. I admire him because he's able to live out his passion, and he's able to live it out in an extraordinary way. But as a business and as a company and as a sport and as part of the wrestling universe, it's a tough world. And let's face it, WWE has the number one position in worldwide wrestling entertainment. Okay, it's written in their name, World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, and they're worldwide. I mean, they can go to Uruguay and pull a house. And quite simply is when you're in that position, that's Kleenex. Who has ever won the battle against Kleenex? They were in the position first. Xerox. They're copiers, but we call them Xerox. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, when you're taking on the biggest in the world, no matter what you got, if it's in the first position, you got a hell of a battle on with you, with it. And I had that situation once upon a time, believe it or not, in Memphis, Tennessee, with a radio station. I go into WMPS when Rick Dees had left and gone across the street to WHBQ in the morning and taken all the audience with him. Not a half of it, not part of it, all of it. It's just like, and I went through in a radio situation in 1976, the same thing that Nick Goulas went through in 1977 when Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett took everybody, crowd-wise, fans, TV, everything, boom, gone. That's a hard road to hoe. And I have a soft spot for Tony because I sort of know what his shoes are. Now, on top of that, there's been a lot of self-inflicted wounds. And I think number one is not having a true booker book matches to where everything was going at a rat, what the rat does in the little wheel. What do they call it? Anyway. That was the pace of AEW, because they shoot a great angle on TV, and next week they blow it off. And that's because you've got somebody that isn't skilled and schooled in professional wrestling. I think the second thing was, I think there were too many cooks in the soup, or too many cooks in the kitchen from day one, and I think that's what Cody left because of. I think number three is, and this is me personally, and I know a lot of people are into this, but I was never a big fan of ECW. I always thought ECW was male driven. It was testosterone driven. It was blood. It was guts. It was gore. It was anything short of murder. And I didn't like it. I know it had a run for a while. But I think when you've got on national television, and I'm sorry, but TBS and Turner Sports and TNT are a part of the wrestling world's history, because they were the first global TV station in the modern era to put wrestling over. And I think people look at it as a major network. And I think when they see somebody throw thumbtacks in the middle of the ring and see somebody take a backdrop onto thumbtacks, or what's worse, see a baseball bat covered with spikes lodged into John Moxley's back, that's mayhem, that's gore, that's attempted murder. There's no way about it. And the only way that Tony can top that is actually kill somebody on TV. Hang them, shoot them with a gun. That's the only, when your first act is suicide, you've heard me say this before, when your first act is suicide, what do you do for an encore? And I think that's what's killing AEW. And I don't think they're a dead animal yet, because they've just picked up a big TV deal internationally, and their streaming is going well. So I don't think they're dead in the water yet, but they may need some resuscitation. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's beyond television. Look at that guy's face in the crowd.
James is asking if Tony Khan and Nick Khan, the president of the WWE, are brothers. They are not related whatsoever. And I told you what you would get out of this. I thank God for AEW. I thank God that AEW was created. I thank God that it's a paycheck for Jim Ross, who I like. I thank God, after being fired for the 5th time from the WWF, that Jeff Jarrett was out of a full-time living in the wrestling business. But AEW and Money Mark, God bless them. I wish that Money Mark was paying me what he's paying Jeff. I thank God, and I guarantee you, the boys in WWE, if they have any fucking sense at all, or the girls in WWE, are thankful for Tony Khan, because their paycheck is more because of Tony Khan, no doubt about it. Now, apples and oranges, you hear the cliches. By the way, I didn't like ECW either, because as Frank Seaton says, ECW stole the hardcore stuff from Memphis damn straight, and I think we forget hardcore wrestling began in Memphis, but always with stuff that made sense, and there's certainly reasons for that at all. I wanted to real quick, as we put, we're going to do about another 7 minutes on modern wrestling, but I want you to put up that WrestleMania deal. It will be the 19th and 20th, WrestleMania 41. The matches signed for night one of WrestleMania. 2 matches are set for night one. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens should be a hell of a match. And the other match, and there'll be more added, is a triple threat with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Those are the 2 for night one. Only 1 match set for night 2, and that's for the undisputed title, Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Then I'm sure there'll be other matches signed. There's a couple of ladies matches, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair in one of the versions of the world title, Io Sky against Bianca Belair, AJ Styles and Logan Paul, and for the other world title, of course, Gunther and Jay. So we will go to Chris Ellis right now. And did you, Chris, have the opportunity to watch that angle from last night with Jimmy Uso against Gunther and the heat afterwards? And what did you think?
No, I couldn't watch it, Randy, because I tried to watch it at school and it blocks me. It won't let me get it on my school, so I did not get to watch that one.
Love of God.
Don't give me my phone.
Listen.
Is she coming too?
Yeah, she's coming too. Listen.
Do you have issues?
I'm on. I'm sorry. I'm talking to my son Cody for a second. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I won't. I promise. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't get to it this morning. I tried to watch it this morning and I could not access it. It wouldn't let me watch it. But now I've seen some footage of Gunther really ripping guys on NXT.
Really?
Oh yeah, like and he even had a conflict with Taker on there, a disagreement with him. So it's been pretty interesting to see that, but I didn't get to see that. What you're referring to?
Yeah, I thought that was very good. Well, just as they're on the road to WrestleMania, and that's always a very exciting time in the wrestling business. And I think we have Michael. Michael, did you get a chance to watch either one of those videos?
I actually saw the first one, the conflict between Cody Rhodes and Cena. I did have the same problem that Coach did when I tried to open the second one. I could not open it. I went to YouTube and typed in that link, and it said broken link. So there must have been a problem with YouTube on that. By the time we got it, I did not get to see the Jimmy Uso part. I will say this, though. I think that the WrestleMania build-up this year has been the best they've ever built it up. That's my humble opinion. I think they have done a masterful job of building this thing.
How much longer do we have? It's the 19th and the 20th. This is the first. So 18 days?
Days, yeah.
8 days.
Yeah, it will be exciting, folks, on both nights. Immediately following it, we'll be live and interactive. We'll have the link up for anybody that want to comment. Both nights, the 19th and 20th. And I think we're on Las Vegas. I'm sure it's on Las Vegas time. So that's probably, that will be an early start time in the Central Time Zone. Is that correct, Michael?
Actually, it's an early time. Las Vegas right now is on daylight savings time, which is they're on Pacific time. So it's a 2-hour difference. So it will be like if it's a 7 o'clock start here, it's a 5 o'clock start out there. So it'll be earlier at their location than it will be here in the Central or the Eastern time zone.
All right, very good. It was just exciting stuff, modern wrestling. Hey, pretty boy Doug Masters, what's going on? Richard is in the house, and so many people on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Michael, you missed a heck of a show last week because as we will, because of that, we're going to repeat some of the stuff that we showed last week. It was the end of an era in 1989, certainly with the exit of Lance Russell in Memphis Wrestling. However, before that, there was a couple of times we heard the voice of Michael St. John, and in the video storage area, if you could, Adam, if you could look to the Hogan debut video with MSJ audio. It's 3 minutes 30 seconds. There's a setup to this with Brutus Beefcake, but Lance Russell doing announcement. We'll watch this and let. We've talked about it before, but hadn't in a long time. We have a brand new audience. This is Michael St. John's voice, and Michael can give you, because I wasn't around then. Obviously, Randy Lewis had a lot of everything to do from a production side, putting this together, the debut of the Incredible Hulk, and we're going to watch that video right now with Michael St. John, Chris Ellis, and Talking Memphis Wrestling.
When they see this guy, that they won't forget that Terry Boulder is the Hulk. Let's take a look at it right now.
This man is not a television illusion. He is not an artist's conception. He is not a figment of the imagination. He is real. He stands an amazing 6'7" tall. He weighs an incredible 324 pounds. He is the Hulk. The Hulk, without a doubt, is the most awesome figure in professional wrestling today. His measurements are almost unbelievable. His neck measures 24 3/4 inches. His chest expands to an incredible 59 inches. His biceps are 26 inches, and at the end of these powerful arms are two 12-inch fists. This magnificent upper body tapers off to only a 34-inch waist. The Hulk is supported by tree-like legs that can leg press over 1,900 pounds. Combine these amazing measurements with more brute strength than you can imagine, and you have the Hulk. And the Hulk is coming here.
And let's go ahead and get out of that right now. And the questions that I would like to ask, and a couple of questions. First of all, who reached out to you? What was told to you? Did you see the Hulk before you did? Did you see a picture? What did you see there? And did you voice that over, or did you lay the audio first? How did this whole thing set up?
That took all of 15 minutes, boys. I'm gonna offshoot with you on it. Jerry Jarrett called me, and it was around lunchtime, and he said, "Can you come down to the house?" And I said, "Well, sure, I can come down." And he said, "Well, I got a guy supposed to come here. He's supposed to be here in about a half an hour, and we need to do a video, and we need to get this going pretty fast." And I'm like, "Okay." So drove down to Hendersonville, drove up to the hill, and went in the back. And actually, he wasn't. I want to say he wasn't at the big house back then. I think he was at the house out on Indian Lake Forest.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I'm confusing it with the Kamala deal. But anyway. I was talking with Deborah, and Jerry was in the back, and this car, I thought it was like a sports car, I want to say a pretty small car, pulled up, and all of a sudden this guy, I don't know where he was sitting. He was obviously driving, but he must have been driving from the back seat. That was one huge individual. And he walked up to the door, and I can remember Deborah saying, "I don't think I've ever seen somebody that big." And him walking up to the door, and I want to say he was in flip-flops. He wasn't in like dress shoes or anything. He was like he'd just come from the gym kind of thing. And he rang the doorbell, and he was, I remember him being very shy. And he sat down with Jerry, and I sat down with him and took some notes. And Jerry says, "Okay, we're going to shoot a video. And I want to say Randy, I don't know if Randy was there or Randy came right after I left or something. We sort of crossed paths, I think, if I remember correctly. Randy may want to correct me on this. And I went back to the radio station and I jotted down, Jerry had given me he was asking, well, how big is your waist? How big? Well, what could you bench press? What can you leg lift up? So I'm writing and making notes. And I'm thinking in my head about the copy. And I go back to Gallatin out on 109 North, get in my office and hit the old Underwood typewriter and start going to town on it. And came up with that audio. And he said he didn't have a time. He said, if it goes a little long, that's fine. Just, we're going to, make it to where it's emphatic, that it's dramatic. That was Jerry's instructions. And so the first thing I did is I sort of knew what I was going to say, but there was find the music. And back then your audio music came from different companies, Pepper Tanner, Tom Merriman, TM in Dallas, whatever. And we had a couple of production libraries, so to speak. So I went and looked under dramatic music and I pulled this disc out and started dropping. It's called needle drop back then. You drop the needle on a track and you'd listen to it. Okay, that's not quite it. And like the third or fourth track in, I went, damn, that's it. So that's how the track happened. And I just put the needle on the record, queued it up, started the record, started the voiceover. And I think I took 2 takes. And that second take is what it ended up. And I put it on tape, put it on a 5-inch reel-to-reel tape. And didn't need to edit. There was no edits in there. It just came out the way it came out. And took it to Jerry. And I know at the time it ran in Memphis, and on the bicycle it was in good shape. And that one's in good shape because I was listening. There is a point in the tape later on, and I think it was when it went to AWA or when it went to New York or whatever, that the tape at some point must have gotten stretched a little bit, because there's right in about 20 seconds in, you can hear well, anybody that does audio knows what a tape stretch is and can hear a little tape stretch. But that's pretty much how it happened. And took the tape back to Jerry's house that afternoon. He listened to it. He said, this will work. And he and Randy did magic, as he always does. And that was all done with a backlight and a backdrop and an oiled up Terry. And the magic on it, the magic on it's Randy Weston's video and the way he edited it.
So you weren't there for the video portion?
No, sir, I was not.
Okay, another thing, I'm going to let Chris, anything that comes in his mind to ask, but the first bit, maybe 30 seconds of it, I want to re-show that again, because to me, it just, the first 2 videos that we show, it just blow away great and tells you the talent of Michael St. John, the creativity of Jerry Jarrett, the brilliance of Randy West, everything. And let's just go back and kind of really concentrate and listen to everybody, because just the whole concept of using video to get wrestlers over, this is the new stage. A lot of people give it the credit to the Fabulous One video and all that. That was all great. But this was a few years earlier before that. This is great as we watch the first part again.
When they see this guy, that they won't forget that Terry Boulder is the Hulk. Let's take a look at it right now.
This man is not a television illusion. He is not an artist's conception. He is not a figment of the imagination. He is real. He stands an amazing 6'7" tall. He weighs an incredible 324 pounds. He is the Hulk.
Okay. Chris, do you have anything for Michael? What comes to your mind as we see that classic historic video, the debut of the Incredible Hulk?
Well, first of all, Michael, outstanding job. It's absolutely terrific. You and Randy West your true professionalism shows, because it's awesome, and it went all over the country and probably all over the world at some point.
It is.
I'm friends with Michael. I'm not on for the people watching. I'm not here to put him over or Randy West, but this was, as RH kind of got ahead of me a while ago, this was cutting edge back then, because I watched Memphis, I watched Mid South, I watched World Class, I watched Georgia, and we, because I'm proud to say I'm a Memphis guy, were the only ones doing this. This was the big time. I mean, this is the thing that got it rolling. Anybody else that did it afterward took it from these guys right here: Michael, Randy, Jerry Jarrett, RH, those guys. This is where it all started. If anybody else tells you different, they're wrong. I was there. I lived through it and watched it.
And somebody's asking, with this AWA Hawk, absolutely not. This is his first territory. The territories in the beginning was Ron Fuller's territory, and this territory as well. But just watching it a second time, it's just a masterpiece, Michael. So after hearing it for the second time in 5 minutes, anything else come to you?
No, there's a little echo there. I forgot that we had a little device in the control in the production room, and I wish I had one in my studio, but I don't have one. But we had a little reverb unit, and you could just turn the knob a little bit, and it would give it an echo. And I didn't realize that I'd done that, and that was probably the second take. Like I said, I used the second take. There was only 2 takes, and I think I put that little echo thing on it. But that was not when I did it, honest to gosh. When I did that, I was not in a mindset that this was going to be something that was shown 10 million times, or that 100 million people would see it. I never thought about that. I thought about doing what Jared had asked me to do, and that was to put a voice over a music track that the master Randy West could match video to. And I will say this, and I've said this to Randy West before, but I don't think I've ever said this ever publicly on camera or even in an audio video or interview. I think Randy West was the absolute best when it came to putting things together for professional wrestling on television in that era. Without a doubt, the absolute best.
No debate.
Well, there were people that came before him and some people that came after him, and they were good. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking anybody, but he was the master. And I thought, and Randy, I hope you're watching. If not, I hope you see this, because I really felt like Randy and I had a really good one-on-one relationship when we were working, whether it was a music video, whether it was cutting promos, whether it was running down cards. I don't think I've ever had a producer or somebody that knew what they were doing in any business, radio, TV, wrestling, whatever, was as good as what Randy was. And Randy came into the business. I mean, he wasn't born into the business, he married into the business. But I mean, for him to do and accomplish what he did, and I don't think he ever gets enough credit. And if I could do anything, it would be to sing his praises more, because he's a genius. He was a genius then. I'm sure he's a genius now. I don't get to talk to him as much as I would like to, but I mean, we did have that when we were together, he would have suggestions. I might have a suggestion, and Randy, I don't think Randy and I ever had a crossword. And there were some times that we were working at 3:00 in the morning, and I had to be up at the radio station at 8:00 the next morning, and he had work to do the next morning. But we had work to do for wrestling, and it came first, by gosh. And there's none better. I'm sorry if I took a tangent there. There's none better.
And he says, thank you very much for that. And he says, you're the best. The other thing I want to talk about, and we'll go right into our second, is everybody's not only saying hi to us, saying hi to Randy Dandy, is Dr. Robinson is in the house, Dave Channel in the house. We have appreciate that. William, I did not marry into the business. We're talking about our video producer, Randy West. Randy West married Diane Marlin, Eddie Marlin's younger daughter. Jerry Jarrett married Debbie Jarrett, until she got older and switched it to Deborah. But anyway, Jerry married Deborah. So Eddie Marlin was the father-in-law of Jerry Jarrett. Now, kind of set up this deal just like we set up the Hogan deal, because certainly it might not have been as played as much as the Hogan video, but it was played in the WWF. It was played in World Class Wrestling. It was played in Mid-South Wrestling for Bill Watts. I'm going to have, as I go grab need something to drink, as Michael answers my question, I want you to take me off the screen, if you would, Adam. The question is, set up that video. Who got in touch with you? How that was done? When did you actually see the finished product? Just set up that deal, then we'll play the video. But you lay the groundwork right now, Michael. Michael St. John, Chris Ellis. This is Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Okay, is this the Kamala video? I take it.
Yes.
Okay. This one was really strange. I never saw anything. I saw the mask on the wall at Jerry Jarrett's office, and I never met Kamala at that point. I got to work with him later, and that was a lot of fun. But it was one of these things that Jerry just said, "Here's what we're doing, and here's what we got. And when we got some video, I'll send you. I'll show you the video." And I think later the next day or 2 days later, he shot the video, and I went back to his house. He showed me the video, and it was, again, we got to do something in the style of the Hogan video, and we did it. I think Randy made a good point here, and I don't want to stop and just go back just a little bit. Randy and Coach, I think you mentioned this also. This was cutting edge, that in the previous narrations of wrestling videos, if you would, it would normally be a rock song or a dance song or country song where they would put footage over the video of the video would match the song kind of, but it was a music group singing it. And there wasn't a narration piece, and it was all subject to copyright. This was not subject to copyright, except Jerry Jarrett's, the CWA, or their own copyright. But the needle drop music was what's the word I'm looking for, in domain, in general domain. So there was no, we didn't have to pay rights fees for the music. The voice was mine, and I got paid. I got paid $25 for the Hulk Hogan video, and I got paid $25 for the Kamala video, and I loved it. I mean, people ask me, I get that question a bunch. Hey, don't you feel slighted or cheated? Don't you think Jerry Jarrett took advantage? No, the man paid me $25 for 30 seconds worth of audio. That's fine with me. What had happened after that is I wasn't in control. That it happened. Okay, fine. I got paid. I'm good. But the Kamala video is a little different in that I was sort of working more off of what Jerry was telling me. I was working blind, if you would. But I had seen that mask on the wall in the office, and I knew they were going to use the mask. So, that allowed me to I think put some words together that kind of put on the Kamala video. And honestly, and this is just me personally, I personally think the Kamala video is better. And I know 99% of people will disagree with me, but from a personal standpoint, from my own knowing what I put into it, it was more catch as catch can. It was more on, okay, visualize this, rather than seeing the individual one-on-one live in person and going, whoa. So I just like this one better.
Randy says I gave Michael an outline and he ran with it, and boy, did he run with it. And the Kamala debut video with Michael St. John audio, we'll watch right now and come back and hear Michael's thoughts and have Chris ask questions. Here we go. say? I mean, I'll let Michael say.
I don't know.
Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt myself here because Michael went into this thing by saying of the two videos, he let the Hogan deal. I think there's nobody on this show will debate or argue with what input Hogan had in the world of professional wrestling in his career. However, I will say this without a doubt. Both guys, a lot similar. Both guys were debuted with music, debuted by the same guy doing the audio. However, without a doubt in the world, the video that drew more money, the wrestler that drew the most money in the Memphis, Tennessee territory is what we cared about. We didn't give a shit about what was going to go on in New York or global or the worldwide. We were worried about Monday night. The person that drew more money was Kamala. In that video, there's no doubt. No doubt. It's my favorite too. Now, Michael.
Well, first of all, Panini, we love you, buddy. And by the way, I know you guys, you mentioned you didn't get tornadoes. You guys get typhoons, which are worse. But anyway, that goes way back in the show. But it was Kamala, Kim. Oh my gosh, my Arab Johnny walked in. Look at this.
Hey, Joshua.
Hey, say hello to Randy.
Hey.
Look at this guy.
Man, he's been working out.
He has. He says you've been working out. You look good.
He's growing.
He is. He is. I'm telling you.
Going to answer a quick question. This was filmed in Jerry.
They got beat again. He sees the Reds are up on the screen. They got beat 1-0 by Texas. He's upset.
Oh no! Oh no! Hey!
They just keep on losing.
They just keep on losing. Randy wants to talk to you for a second.
Hey, who's your favorite baseball team?
The Cincinnati Reds and the Dayton Dragons.
The Cincinnati Reds and the Dayton Dragons.
And there's one more. And the Trash Pandas.
The Rocket City Trash Pandas.
Hey,
which is a
speaking
team
of them, Michael,
yes, sir.
Is Andy still the manager?
Yes.
So his father's a friend of mine.
Really? Wow.
And his
I'll be out there Friday night.
Yeah, Bill Shatsley and his sister Casey are friends of mine.
Wow.
Know them very well. Small world.
I'll get you some Trash Panda gear because we do a lot of promotions with them.
That's awesome.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah,
the baseball team is,
you know me.
Okay, I'll do that. And so
hey,
it's the manager's dad.
The manager's dad. Yeah.
Go ahead, Brandy.
Chris needs a small T-shirt.
Yeah. For one arm.
Hey, do you have any questions to Michael about that video or the audio?
Yeah.
Randy West is watching.
So Randy West said it was shot at Jerry Jarrett's farm, and you weren't there. But I'm assuming Lawler did the artwork on Kamala.
He painted him up. Yes.
So who did it? Like, did James learn to do it himself?
Eventually, but most of the if Lawler was in the town, he would do it.
Okay, I knew, because he went to other territories and stuff. So I was like, I assume eventually he had to learn to do it himself.
He did.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it as good as Lawler did.
No, because this is in 2025. You got to be careful. But he drew a moon on his stomach. Well, you could tell when James did it because it often looked like a banana. Because I've had fans say that before, like, why's it got a banana on his belly? Well, it was a moon. It was a moon. If you can find pictures to compare them, and you got to be careful in today's world about making jokes like that. But that's a real thing that people noticed about the artwork.
Dr. Robinson, I don't know if Kamala was 6'9" or not. All I know is he dwarfed me. And I was 6 foot at the time. I'm 5'11" now because you shrink as you get older. But he dwarfed me. So
in my opinion, Ray Candy was bigger this way. Kamala was taller, but Ray was bigger, like broader. So I don't know. I don't really know about his legit weight or whatever.
And it was Kamala that Jerry named him. by the time he got to the WWF, I guess at that time, it was Kamala, which I think they changed his. I think they changed the I to an A at some point in the WWF. But Richard Hood says he was 6'4". Okay, somewhere in between there. But the other thing about Kamala is that he was hump shouldered. I don't know. I don't remember him just standing totally upright unless he was in the ring and had to do something. But he sort of had a lean about him, if you would. But this is an interesting debate, Randy. Is that who was the better worker, Kamala or Hogan? That's a tough question.
I'd have to give him the biggest box office of all time. Hogan wins. The best. It just depends on how you define better worker. As far as getting the motion of the people, nobody's better than Hogan. As far as selling a gimmick and being in character and all that, Kamala was great. They were both great. Somebody asked who the handler was of Kamala. In Memphis, it was Buddy Wayne. It was Frank Dusek and Bill Watts, and I think it might have been Frank Dusek in World Class too. A lot of people was the handler. Is that the way you recall it too, Michael?
Yeah. Yes. Bo James and Bo, hey, good seeing you, buddy, and congratulations on the event you're running up in East Tennessee and in Southern Virginia. And yes, I want to come your way when the Reds play the Braves in Bristol later this summer. I need to talk to you in the next week or so, because that little guy that was just in here knows all about that game. But anyway, I think that personally, I think it's a toss-up. As far as the crowd reacting, I think the crowd reacted to both of them. But I think in the ring is actually working as a wrestler. I think the boys said that they would rather work with Kamala than with Hogan, because Hogan was so tall and so stiff, and that may have changed as time went on. But I remember early on that Kamala didn't do a lot, but the boys could do a lot with him.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Interesting subjects. As we've in the last hour, we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked modern wrestling. I did an April Fool's joke to start trying to trick everybody, and then tricking Chris at the top of the show, and certainly we showed two classic things. Now we're going to go back in time, because we didn't have the opportunity for Michael to respond to this. 1989. There has never been an exit of a wrestling announcer in the history of our business that affected his promotion as much as when Lance Russell, and by the way, Randy says Jarrett got the name Kamala out of a National Geographic magazine, and I remember hearing that. The Buddy Wayne was the first Friday for Kamala, without a doubt in the world. We're talking about great exits. We saw this last week. We probably won't go to show every bit of this. Enter Lance, or exit Lance. Enter Gossett Part 1. I think it's 9. I think this was 9:49. So if you can find that, let's watch that. If it's not first, we'll stop. This is part 1. This is March the 4th, 1989.
Here very shortly, but I do want to take just a moment of time to say something about someone who's very special to me, who spent many, many years sitting right here in this chair. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Lance Russell. Lance, as many of you may know, has accepted another job. Now, Lance and I have worked in the same building for 25 years. We've shared this desk for 22 years, so it's going to take some getting used to sitting here and not having Lance sitting beside us. Lance, to me, personally, has been everything from an acquaintance to a co-worker to a boss to a teacher. He's responsible for much of the success that I've been able to enjoy in this television business. And he's also, perhaps more importantly, a friend, and will continue to be a friend. He's also a great friend to championship wrestling fans. Lance had planned to be here today, but he started his new job early. And Lance, you know I wish you happiness, and I'm sure all the fans all around the territory wish you the very, very best. We'll be back to this.
All right, you weren't with us last week on Talking Memphis Wrestling, Chris. Let's go with you first. Your feedback on the absolutely amazing, heartfelt job Dave Brown did on that, Chris.
Well, I was just sitting here thinking it had to be emotional for Dave. I mean, they've been together that long and so identified as one. And I remember this. Let me tell you why I remember it. At this time in my life, I worked at a grocery store, putting myself through college. So we taped wrestling on Saturday morning to watch it when we got off work that night. So we didn't know. Like when we put play that night to watch wrestling from Saturday morning, Lance was gone. Now, as a kid, started going to the matches in 1974 to age of 7. I never knew any other announcer other than Gordon Soley on Georgia when I got cable in 78 or 9, whenever that was. So Lance was him and Dave were it. Like I have a thing on my phone that says, if you grew up with these two guys, you led a charmed childhood. It's Dave and Lance. So for him to be gone was a shock. And no offense to anyone involved from that point on, for me, never the same. It's never the same. And I have the utmost respect for Michael and Corey and Randy and whoever followed him. But he was bigger than life. Like getting to meet Lance Russell, not getting to meet Michael wasn't a thrill for me because it was, but getting to meet Lance Russell is like an iconic figure. Like I can't put it into words. So for him to be gone and not, and of course eventually he came back, but I mean, y'all know what I'm saying. At that point, we're like, God, he's gone forever. Like, holy cow. And then seeing him on a Crockett video was just like odd. Like, it was weird.
New perspective as we dealt with this last week, and of course I thought William and I did a good job, but to hear your perspective, I thank you very much on that. Michael, just first of all, what kind of pressure, even though he's Mr. Smooth and Mr. Professional and all that, but even somebody like Dave Brown, as professional as he is and experienced he is, would you say that's the most emotional piece of material that he ever had to do? And how did you think that he did? And did you ever have situations where you had to break an announcement of that magnitude?
Yeah, I can't recall right now exactly what. There were a couple of wrestling deaths that we had to announce that were pretty hard. Dave, everybody says that Dave was the second chair. And again, I don't know if Dave gets all his propers either, because Dave was as good at what Dave did as Lance was with what Lance did. And Lance, to me, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, Lance was like sitting down with your grandfather and talking. And I mean, he was that fatherly figure, if you would. Dave, on the other hand, was a very professional, but a very warm professional. So it was very easy to feel like they were your friends. And the majority of the people that are watching this show, the majority of the people that ever watch Memphis wrestling, never got to meet them. But you felt like they were part of your family. You felt like they were part of, like Coach says. I mean, you had a blessed childhood. You had a blessed life if you got to engage with these folks, even through the wonders of television. And still to this day, one of my favorite people to talk to, and I don't get to talk to him as much as I would like, but is Dave Brown. And the one thing in working with both of them, and I had the honor, and it was an honor, to work with both individually, with both when all three of us were on the screen together. They were unselfish. They were caring. They were passionate about what they did. They cared for the fans, but they also welcomed me as the third member of this group occasionally, as if I was there all the time. If I was that I was as big a part of the thing as they were, which I was not. But that in itself, we've talked about the on-air persona of Lance and the on-air persona of Dave, and they're second to none. I can not disagree with anything you guys have said, because Lance and Dave were the ultimate. I watch tapes back then. I watch them now of and I'm going to mistake some names and all, but the gentleman that Bob Caudle and Bob Caudle. Bob Caudle was to that wrestling area what Lance Russell and Dave Brown was. But the difference was Bob was a different sort of character individual. Gordon Soley was much more polished, much more. The thing that sold me on Gordon Soley today was they wanted to look at. I loved his look. And he had enough amateur wrestling knowledge about wrestling holes and moves. And of course, he had help with the fact that Johnny Walker, Mr. Wrestling 2, was right by his side most of the time, or in his ear. And Gordon was fabulous. Jim Ross is to our day, in this day and time, I think Jim Ross is the iconic wrestling announcer, period. The thing that pains me about Jim, and I pray for Jim because I know he's had some physical issues and lost his wife, and the things that man has been through, and to still do the job he does. Gosh, I admire Jim Ross. Down in Dallas, a whole different style with Bob, with Mercer, with Bill Mercer, and the guy that Lawrence, that did the WCW, Mark Lawrence. I got to know Larry Matzik in St. Louis. Les Thatcher. I always thought Les was a former wrestler that did commentary, but as a former wrestler, he was a little bit more technical and probably not as warm. It was sort of like having Bill Watts on TV. And again, the territory thing was a whole different world. I think right now in the national scene of wrestling commentators, I think wrestling has overthought the room, and you've got a lot of polished announcers outside of Jim Ross that are in there that are scripted, trying to do a wrestling show, which is not as down home and warm and personal and friendly in the commentary as it once was. And I'll shut up, but that's my take on it.
Oh, okay. That you thought that was a great opening. We're not going to show Gossett coming up right now. I'm going to do. Oh no, we'll go with this. I just got an email, a family email, and I just printed it off my computer. That's why you saw me reaching there. Can you see what this is?
Ultrasound.
Yep.
I'm gonna be uncle. I'm gonna be a great uncle. This is Kai Richardson, my nephew Corbin, my great nephew Corbin, his wife Ryan. They're expecting August the 27th. August the 27th, Kai Richardson, and I'll be. They call me. Here's the thing with the kids. All my nieces, Amy's kids, Corbin, and all the kids. Every one of Corbin, Kane, and Cal, Jake, Will, every one of them have called me a certain name. And it was my idea. Amy said, "What do you want the kids to call you?" And my middle name is Benton because that's my mother's maiden name, my grandmother's name, blah, blah, blah. So I wanted him to call me Uncle Benton. But you know how kids are when they get started. He couldn't say Uncle Benton. So from that time forward, I am, and Bo will know this, I think, I am, and Brandon Baxter calls me this today, I am Uncle Buh, B-U-H, Uncle Buh. So I am Uncle Buh again. Now Richard Hood is asking what we thought about Charlie Platt and Rick Stewart worked for the Fullers. Rick Stewart also worked in Kansas City. I never saw him. Charlie Platt, I thought was very good. Honestly, I like Charlie Platt's announcing better than I did Les Thatcher. I really did. I like Les Thatcher personally. I just didn't think he was a great host, great announcer. I thought Charlie was very good, and he was same as Harry Thornton, a morning talk show news guy, and all that sort. Charlie was in the wasn't it the Dothan market?
Yeah, they taped in Dothan, but it was the Mobile bunch. It
Right.
was the Welches and the Fullers. Yep. I like Charlie too. Charlie's an old radio guy, and Charlie is, us radio guys talk a lot. And back then, if you listen to commentary today compared to the wrestling in the territory days, you had a lot more emphasis on calling what you were seeing in the match, whether it was a hold, whether it's a move, whatever the case may be. Now it seems like the majority, 90% or more of the time, people are talking on TV in wrestling commentary situations. It's all about selling, either putting somebody over personally or selling the event coming up. And you don't get that, if you would, play-by-play that you get in basketball, football, baseball, hockey. And that was one thing that was emphasized to me when I first started doing it with Nick Goulas. Nick liked the fact that I was a play-by-play guy. Yeah, I was a radio guy, but I was a play-by-play guy, and that's what he wanted, because that's what wrestling fans in the Nashville, Memphis area were like. And if you listen to Lance and Dave, you got a ton of play-by-play. You got a little sell in there too about the upcoming match or the angle or whatever, or the program, but you really got the play-by-play.
So we're going to skip to this video, and this is from USWA. We'll just show the open only. This is from July 28, 1990. Now, Lance, of course, left, and we saw Dave making that announcement a little later, and they went with Ronnie Gossett, and we have that available, but I think we all know that, so we're going to skip by that, because what I want to do now is watch this USWA from 7/28/90, 7/28/90, because Dave was off, and I just can't remember this particular deadgum announcer why they debuted him solo without Dave Brown. Now, a couple of weeks later, Dave Brown came around, but we're going to watch this video right now from USWA, The Open, from 7/28/90. The classic, iconic, fabulous statue, and the music in the background. PJ, like my family news I broke right here on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Breaking news all the time.
To be here. This is the very first and only, the last one left, live wrestling television show in America. And it's great to be here. And today on USWA Championship Wrestling, we have an outstanding card. We have the Dirty White Boy schedule, the Wild Things, Rough and Tough Tag Team. Also, the Unified World Heavyweight Champion, the Snowman, will be here. We will have a match to determine who the #1 contender to that crown is between Jerry the King Lawler and Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. Also on the program, the USWA tag titles are on the line as Joey Maggs and Rex King take on the new team that has made quite an impression, Primetime Brian Lee and his partner Don Harris. Also, we're going to be showing you a tape of a match that happened recently at the Coliseum, the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee, with Tessa and the Dirty White Girl handcuffed in the corners of their respective teams. They got into it at the end of the match, and a little bit more got exposed than what you would normally see, if you get my drift. We'll be getting all of this action and all the fun of USWA Championship Wrestling. First, let's take this break, and we'll be back with the action.
God, what I wouldn't give to be that young and look that way again. Good gosh.
Now, do you have any memory of that at all?
I do. I was back. I'd gotten back from Arizona. I finished up my tenure at KOY and Y95 in Arizona and came back to Nashville. I came back to my old house in Hendersonville because it never sold the 2 years we were in Arizona. And came back to my old house. And a friend of mine, Bill Button, and I, we were in a group that were buying a couple of radio stations. And at that time, I was doing totally consulting work and had a lot of time. And when I was approached about doing it on Saturday, and I was riding down with Jerry and Eddie Marlin, and they'd pick me up at the Exxon right there at the corner of Main Street in Hendersonville and Bonita Parkway. And we would meet there at 5:30, I believe it was. And we would drive to Memphis. And we'd get to Memphis around 8:30, 9 o'clock, depending on how many stops were made. And there were always the stops at the same place, as you well know, Randy. And it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. You can tell, and I'm critiquing myself, I looked pretty relaxed there. My hair looked good. Riquet did a great job on the hair, and I was relaxed, and I was in a good state. And I did know, and I did know that Dave was coming back. I want to say Dave had been.
Maybe just vacation, something simple.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think he had been on vacation at this point in time. I was trying to think when he lost his daughter, what year that was.
Oh no, that was later.
96.
Later on, that's after he left. That's after that was 7 years later. He lost his daughter, and Dave had already left, and Dave, Corey, myself have always left. That was in the Burton era of the USWA. We'll get into that in a little bit. The question that I had for you, and I am trying to see if Chris is still not back on. As far as Adam and I research was done, we can find a lot of commentary and a lot of audio of Michael St. John. As far as we can tell, that is your debut appearance in the studio. Is that correct information or wrong information?
This was 90, pretty close. I think it was. I think I'd made a couple of studio appearances in, I'm trying to think.
7/28/90.
Yeah. As far as commentary, yes. I think I was on a show in 86, or a show or two in 86, where I was filling in with either Lance or with Dave. I can't remember what, early on. And it was very, very early on at that point. But I think you're right, because I remember the shows in 96, I think, if I'm not mistaken, were CWA shows.
No, the show in 97 was USWA. These shows right there was CWA. So you're right on that, as Michael is talking to Joshua right now. What did you think, Chris, about that open? Did you see it, the open from Michael St. John?
Yeah, I got to see it before. I had an unexpected visitor there coming in my office, like, whoa, ain't supposed to be nobody coming in. So, yeah.
I hope it was somebody with a key to the dang office.
Yeah, it was. That's what I'm saying. But, like, who's coming up here at 8:30 at night?
You had baseball practice today?
But, I saw the open, and, it was, I guess, a change, but things changed, seemed like more frequently in the later years.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't as surprised by things. Michael did a very good job. Michael's excellent. And in my opinion, Michael didn't get to work with the quality of people that had been there previously, the depth, I mean.
Wrestler-wise, yeah.
Still had some good pieces, but didn't have the depth on the wrestling roster to work with that had been there previously. But
1 week
was exceptional.
1 week later, USWA TV on August the 5th, 1990, 1 week later than this debut, 7/28/90. This is the very next week, and let's watch that opening segment only. Thank you, everybody.
See that statue? There's that statue right up there. You see where it is? It's behind it. You go see Popo again. See a video of Popo.
A young Papa, Joshua.
It's Jerry Lawler. You met Jerry Lawler. That was Jerry Lawler. That's Jerry Jarrett. You met Jerry Jarrett. Yeah,
That's Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
Look at that crowd, man.
And let's listen to the opening. I like these two together.
Here we go.
Yeah, hello again, everybody. That's Bundy the Gorilla right there leading the cheers. Welcome to another day of USWA Championship Wrestling. I'm Dave Brown here at ringside, joined today by Michael St. John. Thanks for filling in for me last week.
I really enjoyed it, Dave. It's good being here with you this time around.
Good to have you back. Who's on the show today?
Boy, we got a big card lined up. We have the USWA Unified Heavyweight Champion, the Snowman, will be in action. We also have the USWA World Tag Team Champions that will be defending their belts right here on television. I'm talking about Rex King and Joey Maggs and a whole lot more. I mean, we've got an action-packed lineup today on Championship Wrestling.
Plenty of action coming up, including Brian Lee and Don Harris as the tag team. Many of you wrestling fans will remember both of them. Well, you'll see them here in our opening match when we come back and get this action underway in just a moment. Stay with us.
What do you think of that?
Hey, Joshua, what did you think about Papa with the mustache?
Good.
You
Good.
thought he was good?
He just told me, there it is. See, I've got the mustache. He just told me he doesn't want me to grow it back, though.
Oh, really?
I didn't say nothing. I did not say that.
You didn't say that? I thought you didn't want me on it. Oh, boy. Oh, man. You know, that does. And it, again, I think that the one thing I think that points out is how easy it is to working with Lance and working with Dave. It's like riding a bicycle. I mean, how can you mess it up when you got those pros sitting right next to you that's going to pick you up no matter what happens? I mean, it just was such a comfortable seat because of them.
You might have to cover Joshua's eyes during this next video. MSJ ATTACKED by Bert. This video is 4 minutes and 37 seconds. So be careful with Joshua here as we watch this video on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Chris Ellis, Randy Hales, Michael St. John, and Joshua. Yay!
Koji wanted you on TV.
Yeah. He's
here for you, buddy. He couldn't wait until he got here. He had ball practice, and he couldn't wait to see Uncle Randy. He was here at 8 o'clock.
I don't know if Adam is having trouble finding that video, so I will. Possibility I had.
While you're doing that, Randy, if I can interject, just as a modern day stuff. Are you folks aware that Mick Foley was in a really bad traffic accident yesterday, apparently?
Yes, I just saw that, and we'll come back and talk about that when we
hear what he has to say now. Billy Joe Travis.
There I am again.
First of all, Michael, how many
This is
cards
about 8
and
minutes.
letters did the TV station receive requesting me to sing again?
Well, I got one request, Billy, but I told your mother that it just wasn't the
Hey,
place.
wait a minute. Don't get smart with me. You're forgetting who got you that job at BFI. So you just relax. I want you to read this letter here.
Okay.
Open it up. Woo, I'm happy about this. Let that down. Now, open it up. And you idiots, listen to this.
All right, it reads, Dear Mr. Travis, on my way to L.A. by way of Memphis, I had my TV on and caught you performing a song. My question is, was that really you singing? And if so, you were great. Love, Paula Abdul. P.S. If you're ever in L.A., call me.
No, don't give him that number.
Paula Abdul.
That's right. Paula Abdul has been in love with Billy Joe for over 2 years now. Well, Paula, Billy's going to give you a call right after this, and I'd like to dedicate this pretty song to you.
You mean you're going to sing again?
Yeah, I've got it.
I'll take this microphone. Well, excuse me, but I think you've got my chair. No, that one's not taken, I don't mind. You sit here, I'll be glad to share. Yeah, it's usually packed here on Friday night. And if you don't mind, could I talk you out of the light? Oh, you're welcome, but I don't think I caught your name. Are you waiting for someone to meet you here? Well, that makes two of us. Glad you came. No, I don't know the name of the...
Billy, honey, you are just the most greatest singer on God's green earth, honey. But I have something real important I need to discuss with this
honey
liar here, honey. You, on top of being a habitual liar, have lied. No, honey, I hate you a lot worse than you hate me. Now, you have just lied to everybody out there looking at television. Under no circumstances is my perfect 10 body going to be in any 6-man tag match with that Proxide punk Jeff Jarrett and that Tennessee gelding Robert Fuller and that oldest living virgin Ronnie Gossett, honey. So I suggest, Michael, that you tell the people right now that the 6-man tag match is the wonderfully glamorous PYTs and the Dragon Masters against them other 3 idiots. Now tell them right now. And you
wait a minute, Christopher, I'm only the announcer out here. I have to read what is given to me. The match has been signed. The match.
Oh no, it has not been signed, honey. Now you're the one out here. You're the spokesman. You will tell these people that I will not be in this match. You can't have false advertising. That's illegal. Now tell them the truth. Dragon Master, the PYTs against them bums.
No, I can't do that. You'll have to talk to Eddie Marlin to get a match changed. The match is signed.
Eddie Marlin, nothing. You will.
Wait a minute. You don't threaten me. I'm just the announcer out here. You don't threaten me.
Oh, is that so?
Great bump by Michael St. John there. As I am imagining this is the first big bump that Michael ever had. And Joshua in studio as he's running away. Here comes help. Eddie Marlin, my mentor, my man, comes out to make the save.
Y'all see Lehman? Thank you for doing that, Coach. I appreciate it. Bye, buddy. See you tomorrow.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've restored order here, honey, what a great, exciting match we have all over here. Oh, honey, the greatest 6-man tag of all time. When the PYTs, honey, tag with the 7-foot Dragon Master to take on 124-pound anorexic Jeff Jarrett, Robert Fuller, totally out of shape, honey, and Ronnie Gossett. Ronnie Gossett comes out here.
It happened on Adam Dunn's birthday on June the 28th, 1997.
You've been fined $2,000. You're an idiot. Get out of my way. Well, you listen to what I say. And if you ever put your hand on an announcer and any official of USWA, you'll be barred from now on. You'll never be managing nobody again. Do you understand that?
Oh, is that so?
That's right.
And you think you're big enough to do that to me?
I am the man to do it.
I'm the one people are buying tickets to see,
I don't
honey.
care who you are.
Oh.
If you ever lay your hand on anybody else in the company, you will be fired, gone, completely.
Well, I'm not leaving. So what a great six-man tag match it's going to be.
Don't.
How dare you touch me?
Get out of
You
here.
You do not touch me.
Would you hate to take that slap from Eddie?
He knew how to throw it. No, I love the way Eddie just goes to town here. And here come the cavalry.
I often wonder how many butt whippings Eddie took on Saturday morning from 2 or 3 bad guys. Like he totaled them up over the years.
This is the lowest fun of life. And now you got these 2 pigs out here, honey. We'll handle them too.
Chris, where would you have been in 1990?
Oh, I was in Walnut Ridge in 1990.
So you would have seen this.
Yeah, should have seen it. I knew the PYTs were 2 blonde-headed guys, and one of them looked like Dirty Rhodes. That's not him, but he looks like him. He favors him. I knew this wasn't the original PYTs because I had seen enough of it to know that. And Jeff and Robert are like they're pretty tight in real life, right?
Yes. Big time. So let's go ahead, Adam. Can we come out of that now? All right, talking Memphis Wrestling. I'm Randy Hills with Chris Ellis and Michael St. John. Michael, what did you think as you, once again, we're going back to a day and I, let's see, this would, let me make sure that I'm getting the first video we saw was on was on July 28th, your solo open. The next week, August the 5th, 1990, you and Dave opening the show. A few weeks later, I don't have a date on this. What's your memories of being attacked by Burt Prentice, and who was booking then? Would you?
Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler. Yeah, absolutely. Jerry Lawler. And Jerry told me, he said, go along with it. I said, okay. I mean, I would, it didn't bother me. And Chris made it look a lot worse than it was. I know one thing, it scared the heck out of him. He went flying out of here. He didn't like Pawpaw getting hit. But I remember it, and I know it's caused a lot of talk from back then till now. I still, every now and then, somebody will mention that they saw a video of me getting beat up by another wrestler and that kind of stuff. So, it is what it is. But I remember the show, and they were shooting, trying to draw money. I don't know what the Monday night did after that, but.
Chris, your thoughts on that segment?
Well, I do remember Michael being attacked. Of course, that was unheard of. It only happened to Lance one time, and now it's happened to Michael. So only happening twice in history made it more shocking, especially like with, Burt doing it or Honey Love, whatever his character was at the time, I think was more catching you off guard because you didn't anticipate it going to that level because of his character, so to speak. Michael,
Any final thoughts on that video? It's so interesting to see this stuff.
Well, the only final thought I thought is I was more prepared for that of the 2 times I got attacked on Memphis TV than I was for Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer, it was a little bit more chaotic, and in fact, when he put me down and he's leaning in, he's saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" Whereas Chris Love just did it, and that was it.
We'll get to that in a few minutes. As a matter of fact, pretty pretty soon, and that'll be the last couple of videos that we see tonight on Talking Memphis Wrestling. As we said earlier, when we said how traumatic it was in '89 when Dave made that announcement, no more Lance Russell, that was in '89. Then on March the 5th, 1994, a theme promoted by Randy Hills for Monday Night Memories that was going to be March the 7th at the Mid-South Coliseum. The return to Memphis television. This video quality is bad, people, but it tells you the chemistry between Dave and Lance and the wrestling fans. This is from March the 5th, 1994. Bad video quality. It's 4 minutes, 7 seconds. Just watch this, folks, and get over the bad video.
21 years, I worked with a man who for 30 years used to open the championship wrestling show. Here's how Lance Russell did it.
Hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside, and by golly, we're ready to go with another big day. Championship wrestling action. We got plenty of wrestling scheduled today, Dave.
Hey, yes, we do. We got plenty of wrestling scheduled today. We also have something very special scheduled for you today. We promised you last week.
You see Michael and Chris
not only one of the
here
greatest wrestling announcers of all time, probably the greatest in my mind, my friend.
Listen to that pop.
Pomp and circumstance.
Can we pause that real quick, Adam? And let me tell a story. Now, it's one of those things that you have something in your head and you lay it out, and then I don't know what the hell happened, but it ended up better than ever. My instructions to the audio guy was to play the original theme to the wrestling show as Lance came out, and they played Pomp and Circumstances. It couldn't have been perfect. And listen to this great verbiage by Lance and Dave.
How are you doing?
I tell you, Dave, I am overwhelmed. It is such a delight to be back here. Absolutely.
It's a thrill for us to have you here. I know you worked in various other things, and now you're retired. You're doing a lot of fishing and all that?
A little golf and trying to get all those jobs caught up, those honeydew jobs, and it takes some time to do that. You bet.
William,
Can we put you to work here today? Come on back around.
Before you your podcast
Come on around. Sit down. I tell you what. Hey, no. I want to put you belong over here. This is your chair. Let me give you this microphone.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, and I'll be right here. And let's go. Let's see. What do we have coming up here? We've got a couple of things coming up. But I think we better do that famous thing like take a break first, all right?
Why don't we do that?
All right. We'll be back in just a moment with more Memphis Memories.
The crowd's great for us. A thoroughbred, a champion, and he breaks his leg. What do you do to him? What do you do to him, Lance? You shoot him, right?
Oh, with the big Memphis Memory show right here,
Okay.
Eddie Marlin it is.
Your thoughts on that? The return of Lance Russell. Had you ever seen that? We probably showed it on this air before. Michael?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen it before, but it cold chills every time. I mean, a great triumphant return. You know, when the master walks into the studio, everybody, you know, the GOAT and everybody, incredible.
Couple things. Bo said Michael was attacked September 14th, 1991. Thomas said, did the fans know ahead of time that Lance was going to be there? Yes, we made the announcement the Saturday before, so they knew he was going to be there. Did that give you chills, Michael?
Oh, sure. That's what I said. Goosebumps. You know, from the when you see him and when you see him come through the door and you see the people pop. I mean, you know, you're talking about the greatest of all time. Absolutely, you get cold chills every time you see it.
What did you think? Did you where were you living in 1994, Chris?
I was in Walnut Ridge. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it, and I mean, I'm with Michael. It gives me chills every time. And to be honest with you, the song that goes along with the Monday Night Memories show, I get tears still because nostalgia especially the older we get, it's more meaningful. I mean, I like watching Michael a while ago. I mean, I'm not sure how old Michael is. I know he's older than me, but that video of Michael a while ago was 35 years ago. That's half his life ago. That's you lived half your life since then. I've lived 30 something years, over half my life since Lance walked out there. But that's still, I mean, so vivid in my mind. And he was such a presence in my life as a child. And so it's just, I mean, I had hair standing up right then again. And I've seen it, I don't know, I've seen it 100 times.
Of about 500 shows that I produced, created, booked, wrote, whatever you want to say, that's the show, without a doubt, I am most proud of, without a doubt. Now, transitions, we saw Lance and Dave, and then it was Dave by itself, and Dave and Ronnie Gossett, and Dave and Michael Zanjon, other teams throughout out the year. It eventually ended up in the 90s with, I was not there when Jerry Lawler hired Corey Maclin, and this was probably 91, something 92 maybe, something like that. I brought Lance back by then in 96. Lance had gone away. This is called Dave and Corey No More. This is 4 minutes and 8 seconds, and this is a new era and an old era. Eventually, Michael would return in this era, but not this first TV. You'll be interested to know who the lead guy was that we opened with. They opened with. I was gone at this point.
All right, everybody, welcome to another exciting edition of USWA Championship Wrestling. I want to tell you why it's going to be so exciting. Because if that camera will widen out a little bit, I want to show you the host of the show today, none other than Banana Nose is back. No.
Not another 25 years of listening to that stuff.
No.
Jerry, I got to tell you, it's great to be here, and I am looking forward to the fun we're going to be having today with USWA.
It is going to be a big day. Lance Russell, as you can see, is back, and glad to see you back, especially after seeing your front. No, I'm coming. Only kidding, Lance.
That's enough. I think I can handle it from here.
Okay, listen, you know, we have had some changes the past few weeks regarding the announcer situation here in the USWA. And, of course, a lot of people are used to seeing Dave Brown, Corey Maclin. They were used to seeing Lance Russell for a long time.
Yes.
And, well, why don't you handle a
Time moves on, and I got to tell you right away, I miss my old pal Davey. We have worked so long together and have enjoyed Dave's company because he's not only one of the finest professionals I ever worked with, but he's just one of the kind of guys that's just a super guy, and we're going to miss him. Dave and I were talking, and he said, do you know that I have not had a Saturday off since I was about 10 years old?
I can believe that. Well, we're not going to try to tell Dave's age, but no. This was the 30th year that Dave has been doing USWA Championship Wrestling. 30 years. That's amazing.
Well, it has been a wonderful experience working with Dave. And don't ever say never, Dave, because look at me sitting right here. And I also want to say, while he's a newer friend than Dave, we'll be missing Corey Maclin. Here's a fine young man that's got a couple of youngsters and the family at home, and this stuff of working all week on a job and then at nighttime doing things, and then on Saturdays and all. And so Corey will not be with us. And don't say never again. You're too young for that, too.
Right.
So I do want to extend to everybody out there my wish for Dave and Corey's very good health, and we'll be seeing them down the road. You can bet on it. And thanks a lot for a lot of great years, Davey, of wrestling of all types. We appreciate it very much. Hey, why don't we get this underway? We're going to take time out.
Chris, your thoughts on that? Another transition.
Yeah, well, see, I wasn't around at that point. I was in South Arkansas, so I didn't see that. I don't know if I'm sure if I've ever seen that. I'm not sure I thought Lance ever came back. So that may be the first time I've ever seen that.
He came back during, and Michael did too, because Dave, Corey, and myself would not work for Larry Burton and Selker and that group. We absolutely do do this. This was either February or March of '97 when that happened.
So then I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know them, but King and Lance have that good a relationship. He just did it for Jerry. Is that why?
Well, I'm sure he got paid. I'm sure.
I know he got paid, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You guys wouldn't work for them other people, and he was a true professional, so it had to be a personal deal. I figured.
Right, and you know here's the thing. Dave and I quit because we didn't like what was going on with Burton and the pretending sale and all that, so we quit. Corey was going to stay, but he like quoted him a price about 6 times the amount of money that he would have originally, and more than like Lance or Dave would have made together. Just crazy stuff. Corey just didn't want to do it, I think. But they went with Lance and Lawler the first week, and then quickly Lance and Michael did it together. Your memory on this time period, and you were not there for show number 1 after Dave, Corey, and Randy.
Well, we were. I was in the midst of trying to buy a radio station during that time, and still living in St. Louis. So any commute I was making was coming down I-55 from St. Louis. I remember this time. I remember this time of being very transitional, in that the shows would almost change on the fly during the shows, much more so than ever happened under the Jerry Jarrett regime. There was a lot more confusion. There were a lot of boys talking behind the scenes, if you would. It wasn't. I enjoyed doing it because I was with Lance and I was, and working with Jerry and everything. And I tried to just stay out of the politics, which I always have boasted in my career to try to stay away from the drama, if you would. And I do remember that it just being a very unsettling time for the wrestling show. To Channel 5's credit, and the producers and the people, they kept the professionalism of the show right on up to the end. I don't think there was any question of that, but I think the internal workings and the people that were coming in were definitely not as skilled as people going out.
All right, 2 more videos that we're going to do here. And by the way, Adam is crediting from TV5 James Estes, who would have been the director at that time, and he's fantastic in the USWA and fantastic in Power Pro Wrestling. This video is 5 minutes and 27 seconds long, and one of these 2 videos, both of them will have Michael on it, and the attack will be in one of them. Tommy Dreamer breaks into the studio is the first one we're going to watch. That's 5 minutes and 27 seconds.
And the guys that are dressed with the ECW on, as Lawler confronting somebody in the crowd there. See if you can get him settled down. Can you believe I'm asking Brian Christopher to settle him down? As Brian, who comes hobbling out after having...
Don't worry about these punks. They're going to find out soon enough, just like Tommy Dreamer, that this is the USWA. This is the ECW. And I'll tell you what, wrestling is back today, 2 o'clock at the big one. Billy Joe Travis, you might have had me down for a little while, but you can't keep
that so-called commissioner that Larry Burton brought in, that Elliot Pollock. How much did you deal with him, Michael?
Very little. Very little. I didn't even remember him.
I swear to God, I'm going to super kick all your stinking teeth right down your throat, punk.
Pizza was out.
Look, it's a big one to be there, because I'll be there waiting on you.
You know...
Bo's asking a question to you, Michael. He says, Michael, when did you know the USWA was done? How did you find out?
The day that the day that Harvey Whippleman, our good friend, downtown Bruno, came over the desk and beat the hell out of the guy next to me when I didn't know what was going on.
Here's Tommy Dreamer.
And the day I didn't get paid.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Unlike the USWA invasion with Smoky Mountain, USWA was babyface, and Smoky Mountain was the heels. This is completely different. Michael, did you feel the need to protect Lance in this situation?
Lance was running most of the time. If you notice, he was well out of the way of the action because I think he knew that he needed to stay out of the way because you never knew what this guy was going to do. I recall this situation to Tommy when we did the last wrestling show over at the sports arena in Nashville, and we chatted in the back. He said, I remember that. He said, I didn't realize you were the guy I beat up. I said, well, I'm the guy you beat up. He said, you're just a little guy. I went, yeah, okay. But Tommy Dreamer's, let me tell you, when it comes to professional wrestlers that know the business inside and out, of the younger, the second generation to where we grew up, I think Tommy Dreamer's the top of his game.
Yes, I agree. You know what I mean, guys? Now, the crowd is with the crowd, Dreamer is 100% the babyface. No heat at all.
100%. Who is that guy?
Bill Behrens?
Bill Behrens.
Who was he?
Bill was running. He was a syndicator, but he was also running a wrestling show down in Georgia. He and Pedicino started out together, I believe. And Bill had that Gwinnett County Coliseum or whatever, ran some good shows with some good talent down there. He's the guy that put AJ Styles on the map. Bill also worked with us in Dallas at the very end there when the territory was being sold to the guy from Kenya.
In case you just joined us, is Tommy Dreamer, supposed to be a great athlete. Well, you're going to have your chance.
Behrens and Tony Friedman, the guy Bruno beat up, hosted the live studio show, the last live show they did. That was September the 6th, 1997, according to Al. Gregory, I thought he said W's last show was in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Are you sure it was Pine Bluff, Arkansas?
Well, we're going to have to call on something, I can say.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer didn't exactly do a Jerry Lawler pile driver. That didn't look good.
No, that looked like a rollover. I'll tell you, this went on. Again, talk about segments that went on way too long. I mean, for the impact of what Tommy Dreamer did, they could have cut that time in half, and I think it would have got over.
And we have one more video, but in that video we didn't see you get attacked, did we?
Yeah, back by the curtain.
So you were attacked. Yeah. So yeah, the other video is just a repeat, so we won't watch that. We're getting late in time. So this was a time period. This was toward the end. Chris, your thoughts on that?
Well, Michael hit on one of them. It was way too long. My other thoughts are, having grown up on Memphis wrestling and seen like the Moondogs destroy the studio and go, nobody bled, no wrestler got hit. Everybody in suits got hit. Referees got beat up. Hell, no wrestler got beat up. There wasn't any conflict between any wrestlers. So it didn't make any sense to me. And like I said, I wasn't following it then. I didn't live here then. So it didn't like, just watching it out of context made no sense to me.
Now, this next comment's not made to be any kind of disrespect for Lance at all. Michael, I want to know your opinion on this, because certainly as Lance would have been probably in his mid to late 70s at this point. I thought at this point to keeping Lance online and keep him going during the show, I thought at this point, it's probably the first time in his career, Lance needed somebody to lead him. Is that just something that you just did, or is it something a producer told you to do, or just something you felt needed to do, or do you disagree with me that you were in that position? You were trying, to me, you were trying to take care of Lance 100%.
Well, of course, and was I told to do that? No, I mean that's just normal reaction. Again, that was so chaotic, and we were told that in the before we went on camera that Tommy was going to come out and do a brawl and wreck out the studio and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think Tommy Dreamer knew exactly what his next move was going to be. We certainly didn't. I don't know if the people upstairs did. And it was chaotic, but it was chaotic chaos, if you can mention something like that. I did not particularly think that was that great of a segment. And to say to echo what Chris says, I agree with you totally, Chris. If you're just a common tuner inner or somebody that's not, they were trying to put ECW over and they were trying to create this ECW versus USWA thing. And Jerry was going up there, Lawler was going up there, and Dreamer came down here, and it didn't hold water. I mean, people, I think, and this was about the time people are starting to get smart and shoot videos are coming out. And, I think that was in the WWE, I think was probably clandestinely promoting that. And it was just starting to the whole business was sort of, wasn't this also, Randy, just in comparison, wasn't this the start of the, right at the beginning of the Attitude Era on the WWF?
Maybe
at the very start.
6 months to a year after that.
Yeah,
absolutely. 6 months for a year. We got through this show tonight. Interesting stuff. I wanted to do this and pay homage to the great career of Michael St. John, and we do a lot of the Glory Days stuff, and we're kind of skipping around years wise. We'll get back to 1990 on next week's show. Chris, what is your final thoughts, and what did you think of the show tonight?
Well, it's great to look back and pay homage to Michael and Randy West and their great videos that kind of started a different era in wrestling. And earlier in the show, you talked about how WrestleMania was being promoted so well and really being pushed. Back in those days, when you had 3 channels on television, you saw this video of Hulk Hogan or this video of Kamala. I can't wait till Saturday when they come to Jonesboro. I can't wait till Monday because I'm going to go see them. That was the hook. That's how you got people in the, because y'all were getting paid on butts in the seat. That's the way they did it back then. They're pumping WrestleMania now and doing a great job. Y'all were the forefathers of that. That makes it sound old. That's what that was. It was magnificent.
Hey, Chris, how's your schedule next Tuesday?
Oh, I'm going to do my, this time of year is when I start getting to be on more now through like July. So I hope I'm available.
All right. You did a great job today, and we appreciate it. Your thoughts on the show tonight, and how's your schedule? Because I know you're missing one in April sometime.
Yeah, and it won't be next week. I'll be here next week. It'll be the week after. I'll be at the AT&T Morning Line in Louisville at Churchill Downs. So that'll be the Tuesday I miss on that. But I apologize if I was a little whiny at the first of the show. I'm honored that you would take this time and showcase some of the events that I was in, and I hope I wasn't too bad of a whiner at first. But when people say, well, we're going to do a show about you, the first thing I think is, well, don't you do that when people are gone. So I apologize, but I enjoyed it. I mean, seeing some of the video. The video that I had not seen is the video where I was solo for the first time. I do not have that, and I had not seen that since back in the day. And the first thing when I saw it, and Joshua was in the room, is, Papa, you got a mustache. And it was like, that was sort of funny. But I want to thank you, Randy, and Coach. You're such a great part of the show. I love when you're on the air with us, and behind the scenes, Adam Dunn is just incredible. He's not quite Randy West, but he's sure getting there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a different world in what he does, but he's right there at the top of the heap. So, Adam, thank you so much.
Temperamental wise, he's more along the lines of James Estes than he is Randy West. Randy West was real laid back, real laid back.
Now, you were talking about James Estes. Was he the guy, the floor camera, the guy on the floor with us?
No, he was the director, the switch.
He was upstairs.
Yeah, he was upstairs. So I don't know how much you dealt with him, but
I met him, but I didn't really deal with him. The guy that was our floor manager,
Bob Crone.
Oh God, he was good. I have done TV for a bunch of folks, and I don't think I've ever worked with somebody that was even on a network level that Bob was.
Here's a funny story. My friend Dr. Robinson, he was our guest. I was filling in for you guys last night. He went to Christian Valley or Christian Brothers High School.
Yes.
And Coach Crone was his baseball coach.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he talked in one of the videos we showed last week. Coach Crone was in the background, but the best floor director I'd ever seen. By the time Power Pro came along, they didn't have floor directors. I don't think.
Right. No, they started automating everything, but he was great. And Dr. Robinson, if you're still with us,
I think he said goodbye, but go ahead.
I was going to say, if he's ever over at Ochsner Hospital in New Orleans, up in the ICU, that's where my daughter works, Jamie St. John. So I don't get to see her, but she's in New Orleans and working at Ochsner, and in back in medical school, going to become a anesthesiologist. Late in her life, well, I say late in her life, in her midlife, and I think the reason she's doing it is to put me down when it comes time.
Oh my goodness, William, Dr. Robinson moved about a year ago to South Beach, Alabama. Is that the name of it?
Orange Beach.
Orange Beach, Alabama.
Orange Beach. Oh, no, so he's in my state, even better.
Yeah, he is. His daughter's not. His daughter. I think he still keeps a place in New Orleans. His podcast, The Good Doctor, premieres tonight on YouTube. It's The Good Doctor. Dr. William Robinson, everybody, please support somebody that big time supports this show. Guys, you did great tonight. This has been fun, and we'll get together, and Pat will be back next week. Until then, for Adam Dunn, Randy West, Chris Ellis, and Michael St. John, I'm good old RH saying...
So long, everybody.
I'm going to be Uncle. Bye-bye.